Hey, what's up you guys? It's Dorothy and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to go into chapter 6 of Survive by Holly Jackson. So far, it's an interesting book, so let's continue reading and see what happens. This video may contain sensitive topics and foul language. If you do not wish to continue, please click off the video now. You have been warned. Chapter 6. It was now about time for Red to say she had to pee. Raina, Oliver turned to her. You and Maddie go with Simon and find the jack, and we'll need a wrench too, something to remove the nuts. That's what she said, Simon whispered so only Red could hear. Arthur, Oliver pointed to him. You and me will get this spare tire. Okay. What about me? Red said, and the others picked up their feet and started to move. Think we are all heading in the same direction, Arthur said, beckoning for her to follow. They were moving as a group to the rear side of the RV, Maddie swiping the flashlight up on her phone to help light the way. She pointed it at the side of the RV, the light glaring against the glossy off-white sides and the red-blue stripe motif along the center. The RV seemed bigger from out here, a faint yellow glow leaking out of the windows. Maddie moved the beam lower, the flashlight revealing 3 large storage units around the rear wheel under the overhanging side. Maddie opened the one at the very end and Raina knelt to have a look. No, there's no generator in there, she said. Next one. Red moved past them, following Arthur and Oliver as they walked around the back of the vehicle. A black ladder was attached here, running to the roof of the RV, and mounted beside it in a canvas cover was the spare tire. Oliver gave it a slap. Let me just see something, Arthur said, planting one foot on the bottom rung of the ladder. He pushed up, climbing fast, his phone a lump in the back pocket of his jeans. Not that Red was looking. What are you doing? Oliver called up to him. As Arthur stepped onto the roof of the RV, he might have lost himself to the dark sky if it weren't for his white sweatshirt glowing like the moon. Red looked up even farther, and hey, she could see the actual moon. Just wondering if I can see any lights nearby, Arthur replied, disappearing from sight as he walked further along, the sounds of his shoes pattering. Red and Oliver waited for an answer. Anything? Oliver said. Arthur, let me look over here, and Arthur grunted. No, I can't see any. He came back, looming large over them as he turned and carefully guided his foot back to the ladder. No sign of civilization anywhere. Doesn't matter, Oliver said as Arthur climbed down. We'll get this tire changed in no time and be on our way. Arthur jumped to the ground, brushing off his knees as Oliver unzipped the canvas cover from the spare tire. He pulled at it and it rattled against its mount. Hey, have you found a wrench or something? Oliver called to the others. We need it to get the spare down. Yeah, give me a sec, Raina replied. She needed 2 seconds, actually. And then a 4-pronged wrench appeared around the corner before she even did. She held it out for Oliver. Here, and we found a jack in the same compartment with some wooden blocks. I think so, to get it high enough under the RV. Great, Oliver said, handing Raina back her phone. He braced the wrench in one hand, securing it over the first lug nut. Can you carry it over to the front wheel? Already on it, she said, disappearing again behind the RV. Need a hand? Arthur asked as Oliver leaned his weight onto the wrench. The nut started to give, and Oliver turned with it. All good, I got it, he said, loosening it the whole way and removing the nut. 3 more to go. Actually, could you shine a light? Sure, Arthur said, removing his phone from his front pocket and flicking on the flashlight. Red wasn't any help, was she, standing here looking at the moon? It's big tonight, Arthur said, following her eyes to the sky. That's what she said, came Simon's faint call from the side of the RV. Red snorted, looking away when she noticed the flush in Arthur's cheeks. Hey, at least we're out of the RV for a bit, she gestured to the wide open nothing all around them, wrapped in darkness, dirt, low bushes, patches of high grass, and space, lots of space, up and down, this way and that. Must say, exploding the tire with your mind was a slightly drastic measure. Arthur clicked his tongue. Desperate times, he said. What do you think it could have been, really? He shrugged. Probably a sharp rock or glass, like Oliver said. And was Red imagining it, or did his voice sometimes soften for her? No, he was just nice to everybody. We should never have come this way, Oliver said, summoned by his name. He removed the 3rd nut. I knew it couldn't be right. It's no one's fault, Arthur sniffed. Not easy navigating without a working map. Oliver's silence said all it needed to. It was everyone's fault except his. At least it's only raw tomatoes, Red said, so you can still eat pizza. What is she talking about? Oliver said, almost there with the final nut. Oh, my allergy, Arthur smiled. Somehow staying with her, that was rare. Red lost most people at least a few times a day, sometimes a few times per conversation. I know, not sure life would be worth it without pizza. I just have to have a perma rash. Hey, grow a beard and no one would know, she said. It would probably look good on him, too. Don't know what the fuck you two are talking about, but I'm done, Oliver said, straightening up. Here, Red, run this to the front. He placed the wrench in her hand, the metal warmer he'd been holding it. They can start loosening the nuts on the flat before we jack it up. Yes, sir, right away, sir. But she did it. She even ran just like he said, rounding the RV and along the side stones scattering under her feet. She slowed, holding the wrench out to Raina, who was crouched in front of the wheel, the metallic cover already removed, and a bright red metal jack beside her, its lever up and ready, a pile of wide wooden blocks there too. Oliver said to. Red began. Yeah, I heard him, Raina said, taking the wrench and positioning it over the first nut. He's got one of those voices that carries. Rana leaned into her arms, pushing down on the nut until it gave, loosening it a few times before moving on to the next. How often does your uncle use the RV? Maddie was asking Simon, picking at the side of her lip. He shrugged as it almost tipped him. Don't know. He's a bit weird. And then in explanation, my white uncle. Ah, Maddie said, spinning on her heels at the sound of footsteps. Oliver and Arthur were walking over, the spare tire cradled in Arthur's arms. Guess Oliver decided to let him help after all. He dropped the tire down, the rubber jumping up to meet his hand again before he laid it on its side. How you getting on, Oliver asked Raina, leaning over her. Last one, she said with a grunt as it gave way, and she spun the wrench a couple of times, all loosened. Great, Oliver rested his hand on her shoulder, a small touch. Let's get the jack in place. A 12-ton hydraulic bottle jack, it said on the side in a large black letters against the red. Oliver bent down, unscrewing the black top of the jack, the device growing taller with each turn. That's as high as it gets. Someone pass me those blocks. Simon pushed them over with one foot. Oliver piled the blocks up 4 high beneath the outer metal of frame of the RV just behind the wheel. Then he placed the steel-planted bottom of the jack on top of the highest block, jiggling it to check it was secure enough. It would do. Apparently, because Oliver turned his attention to the lever, he pulled it up and down and again, and slowly the top of the device began to emerge from the base, reaching up for the bottom of the RV. Oliver's arm pumped and pumped again. He settled down on his knees. This would take a minute. Which was good because Red just remembered. Hey, Maddie, which side of the bed do you normally sleep on again? She said. Because the left normally, Maddie said, watching as the jack disgorged itself, metallic and rigid. But I'm easy. Oh, that's fine. I'm normally the right, Red lied. And why did she need to? Maddie had just said she didn't mind. The top of the jack made contact with the frame of the RV, metal on metal, shining ghostly white as Maddie captured the moment in the flashlight. A creaking sound as Oliver pulled the lever up and down and up. Slowly the RV began to lift, the flat tire unpuddling from the ground. Ladies and gentlemen, we have liftoff, Simon whooped, and the scrubland stole his voice, echoing it back, stripping it away of anything human, an outwardly cry in the night. Red watched the RV inching higher and higher, revealing the pressure of the torn open tire. I have to pee, she suddenly remembered, voicing it as she did. Ever the lady, Simon commented. Well, you can't go in the RV now, we've jacked it up, Oliver said, slightly breathless, slightly irritated, still pumping away at the lever. You'll have to find a bush. I might upgrade to a tree, thanks, Red said, turning toward the back end of the RV as the thick trees. They'd come through that way. She couldn't go somewhere in front of the RV, but she didn't know how far the headlights would reach. Imagine Arthur seeing her white ass floating in the night. Red avoided his eyes. You can't go on your own, Maddie said, grabbing her arm. It's pitch black. I have my phone. No, but I mean it might not be safe, she breathed out. What if there's an axe murderer or something? No axe murderers in South Carolina, Simon said. Only in North Carolina. It's chainsaws you've got to watch out for, and vampires. Chainsaws, vampires. Got it, Red said. I'll keep my eyes peeled. Vampires love peeling eyes. Red, Maddie said. I could, Arthur began. I'll be fine. I'm just going over there. Be right back. Red kept going toward the back, doubling her pace when Oliver said, Quickly, we won't be long here. She'd pee in her own time, thanks, except now she was moving at a slow jog and more of a run, shoes scuffing against the rough road. The voices of the others faded behind her as she moved, just her and the moon now and the whispering in the grass. She slowed to pull out her phone, 11:21 p.m. and 65% battery still, very good for her, and she swiped up to flick on the flashlight. Shadows stretched and shrank as she pulled the light around her, searching for a spot. There was plenty of shrubs and bushes around, but they were short, not much to hide behind, and she still wasn't that far from the group. Red went farther and farther, holding up the light to carve a path through the darkness. Her eyes alighted on a tree right ahead, alone, broken away from the others, just like her, branches spring full of leaves, quivering as she approached. Had the tree been pushed out of the way by the others or left on its own accord? Anyway, Red circled around the back of it, checking to be sure the trunk covered her. All good. She put her phone down on the grass over there, a white glowing halo around it. As the rest of the world fell to darkness, she fumbled for the bottom of her jeans, unzipped and pulled down her underwear, strapped around her ankles. She squatted. Sometimes it was difficult to pee when she thought about it too hard, so she thought about something else, thought about how good it would feel when the night was finally over, thought about whether her dad had managed to find one of the ready meals she left him tonight, or if he's passed out before he could. It wasn't enough. Nothing she could do for him was enough. There was a ghost in Red's house, and it wasn't her mom. Dad needed help, proper help, and you needed money for that, but Red would take care of that for him soon. That was the plan. She just had to see everything through. Not that she could see anything right now apart from the outline of her phone. A snap in the trees, red eyes flickered. It was dark, too dark, just black shapes among more black shapes. But there, right over there, something moved in the trees. That is the end of chapter 6. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!